Hello everyone, myself Bismi P. Charian, Assistant Professor at Suresh Ganvi High University. Today I'm going to discuss about the anti-neoplastic agents, or we can say anti-cancer drugs. Learning objective of this topic is this lesson will help the students to understand the mechanism of action and the uses of anti-neoplastic agents, and today we are going to discuss about the alkylating agents that is coming under in the category of anti-neoplastic agent. Learning outcomes. After this lesson, students will be able to describe the SAR, mechanism of action, and the uses of anti-neoplastic agents, mainly the alkylating agents. Today we are going to discuss about the alkylating agents that is coming under the category of anti-cancer drugs. So anti-neoplastic drugs or anti-cancer drugs are the medication used to treat the cancer. Okay, anti-neoplastic drugs or the anti-cancer drugs are the medicine that is used to treat the cancer disease. Anti-neoplastic drugs are also called anti-cancer, chemotherapy, chemocytotoxic, or hazardous drugs. And these drugs may come in many forms. And we have to learn about this name means carcinoma, what is carcinoma and what is sarcoma. Okay, so carcinoma is related to the skin or tissue cancer. Okay, carcinoma is related to the skin cancer or tissue cancer, whereas the sarcoma is the cancer of bone, muscles and the cartilage. Okay, so we have to learn the difference between the carcinoma and the sarcoma. Okay, this is important. Main means the uses of the drug. Okay, uses of the drug. In many of the uses of the drug, we just mentioned this is used in the carcinoma cancer, or this is used in the sarcoma treatment. So you have to learn the carcinoma means skin cancer or the tissue cancer, and sarcoma means bone cancer, muscle cancer, or the cartilage cancer. And the anti-neoplastic agents, we can say anti-cancer drugs, and that medication used to treat the cancer. Cancer is a term used for diseases in which abnormal cells divide without control. Okay, abnormal cells division without control is known as cancer, and that cells are able to invade other tissues. Means they are able to enter into other tissue also, that abnormal cells. Okay, so the cancer is a term that we used for diseases in which abnormal cells divide without control. Okay, the cells division, abnormal cells division is without control and known as cancer, and that abnormal cells are able to invade into other tissues also. So this is the definition of the cancer. Cancer is a term that used for diseases in which abnormal cells divide without control and are able to invade with other tissues. So this is the definition. Before going to or before moving to our alkylating agents, we have to know the cell cycle. Okay, these all anti-neoplastic drugs, they act in these phases. Okay, so cell cycle has 4 phases. Okay, G1 phase, S phase, G2 phase, and M phase. So in the G1 phase, cell prepare for the synthesis of DNA. Okay, in the G1 phase, the cells, they are preparing for the synthesis of the DNA is the G1 phase. In G1 phase, the cells prepare for the synthesis of the DNA. So during G1 phase, also called as the first gap phase, the cell grows physically larger, copies organelles and make the molecular building blocks it will need in later steps. So you have to learn this much, means in the G1 phase, the cells prepare for the DNA synthesis. So that is the main thing happens in the G1 phase. Okay. So in G1 phase, the cells prepare for the synthesis of the DNA. So that is the thing that happens in the G1 phase. Next is S phase. Okay, so in the G1 phase, the cells prepare for the synthesis of the DNA, and the S phase, we can say synthesis phase or the synthetic phase. Okay, so in S phase, the cells synthesize a complete copy of the DNA in its nucleus. So S phase means the synthesis of the DNA happens in the synthetic phase. Okay, so the cell synthesize a complete copy of the DNA in its nucleus. It also duplicates a microtubule organizing structure called the centrosome. Okay, the centrosome helps separate DNA during M phase. So in the S phase, or we can say synthetic phase or the synthesis phase, in this phase the cells synthesize the DNA. Okay, or we can say DNA replicates. Okay, DNA replicates in this S phase. Then next is G2 phase. G2 phase, during the second gap phase or G2 phase, the cells grows more and makes protein and organelles and they begin to reorganize its content in the preparation for the mitosis. Okay, so in the G2 phase, DNA replication finished. Okay, in the G2 phase, the DNA replication finished, and this is the cells are prepared for the final cell cycle phase. Okay, so in the G2 phase, the DNA replication finishes. Okay, and the cells prepare for the next phase, that is mitosis. So in G1 phase, the cells prepare for the synthesis of the DNA, and the S phase is for the synthesis of the DNA, or the replication of the DNA happens in the S phase. And the G2 phase, the DNA replication stopped. Okay, DNA replication stops and cells prepare for the final phase. Okay, that is the mitosis. That is known as M phase or the mitosis. So in this M phase, the new cells enters the new proliferating cycle. Okay, the new cells enters the new proliferating cycles. Okay, so there is one another phase that is known as G0 phase. Okay, so in this G0 phase, cells that have temporary or reversibly stopped dividing are said to have entered a state of quiescence called as G0 phase. Okay, so in this G0 phase, the cells, they have temporarily or reversibly stopped dividing. Okay, they stops dividing temporarily or reversibly. That phase is known as G0 phase. And this anti-cancer drugs or the anti-neoplastic drugs, they drug act on this phase. Okay, to reduce or to prevent the cancer drug, these drugs act on these four phases. Means first phase is G1 phase. Okay, G1 phase, S phase, G2 phase, and M phase. G1 phase, the cells prepare for the synthesis of the DNA. And S phase is for synthetic phase. Okay, S phase, or we can say synthetic phase. That phase is for synthesis of the DNA happens in this S phase. Okay, replication of the DNA, synthesis of the DNA happens in the S phase. Then next is G2 phase. In that G2 phase, the DNA replication stops. Okay, the DNA replication stops and cells prepare for the next phase. That next phase is M phase. Okay, and last phase is M phase. And in this M phase, new cell enters the new proliferating cycle. Okay, and there is one another phase, G0 phase. In that means temporarily cells, they have temporarily or reversibly stopped the dividing. Okay, stops dividing. So that is known as G0 phase. And the two major control points in the cell cycles are G1 or S phase and G2 or S phase. Okay, so in these first three phases are important for preventing the disease, this cancer disease. So G1 or S phase, G2 or S phase. Okay, so G1 S phase means in this G1 S phase, the cells replicates. Okay, G1 phase, the cells replicates, and in the G2 phase, what happens? the cells divides. Okay, cells divides in the G2 phase or G2 or S phase. So these two drugs are, or these two phases are important sites for the anti-cancer drugs. Okay, so these two phases are important for the cancer treatment. So let's see. Okay, so G1S phase is important in cancer treatment. Why this G1S phase is important in the cancer treatment? Because the DNA synthesized in G1 phase and the DNA replicates in S phase. So if we stop the DNA replication or the synthesis of the DNA, that is more effective in the cancer treatment. Okay, so this G1 or S phase is important in the cancer treatment. Let's see the classification of these anti-neoplastic drugs or anti-cancer drugs. So the first classification is alkylating agents. Okay, first classification of anti-neoplastic agent is alkylating agent. Okay, alkylating agent. Then this alkylating agent is classified into nitrogen mustards. Okay, nitrogen mustard. Okay, and alkyl sulfonate, ethylenamine, and methyl hydrazine triazine. Okay, so the alkylating agents are classified into nitrogen mustard, alkyl sulfonate, ethylenamine, and thiotepa. Okay, so then this nitrogen mustards classify means the examples of the nitrogen mustards are cyclophosphamide, chlorambucil, meclorethamine, meclorethamine, and melphalan. Okay, so these four drugs are the class means examples of the nitrogen mustard, and we have to learn these four drugs because in your syllabus these four drugs are there. Okay, so the chlorambucil, cyclophosphamide, meclorethamine, and the melphalans are the examples of the nitrogen mustard, and nitrogen mustard is coming under the category of alkylating agents. Next classification of alkylating agents is alkyl sulfonate. Okay, alkyl sulfonate. In this alkyl sulfonate, you have to learn this busulfan only. Okay, in your syllabus, busulfan is only there from this alkyl sulfonate. Then you have to learn this thiotepa also, because your syllabus in their syllabus this thiotepa is also there. So thiotepa is coming under the category of ethylenamine, and this ethylenamine is the classification of alkylating agent. Okay, so this is the classification. Okay, so these are the example you have to learn. Okay, next, see the common mechanism of action of alkylating agents. Okay, this is the common mechanism of action of alkylating agents. These alkylating agents introduce covalent modification into DNA. Okay, this alkylating agents or these drug means nitrogen mustard or alkyl sulfonate, these all drug introduce covalent modification into DNA, thus causes mutation and interference in re-replication. Okay, how this alkylating agent acts in our body? These alkylating agents introduce covalent modification into DNA and thus causes mutation and interference in the re-replication. It acts by the transfer of alkyl group, the biological important constituents such as amino, sulfhydryl, or phosphate group, whose function is impaired. And these three constituent is in the means these three are present in the DNA. So what these alkylating agents do? Alkylating agents act by transfer of alkyl group. Okay, this alkylating agent transfers the alkyl group into the amino group, sulfhydryl or phosphate group in the DNA. Okay, and their function is impaired. When the alkyl group attaches to the DNA, then DNA's function is impaired. So that is the action of this alkylating agent. Under physiological condition means inside our body, alkylating agents are positively charged electrophile. Okay, so inside our body, these alkylating agents are positively charged electrophiles and they react with negative or high electron density region. Okay, this under physiological condition, or we can say inside our body, these alkylating agents are positively charged electrophile. Means positively charged electrophile means they are electron deficient. Okay, they are electron deficient and they are attracted or reacted with high electron density region. Okay, means positive, negative. Okay, positive charge is react or attracted to the negative or high electron density region. Alkylating agents are known to react with DNA, RNA, and protein. So these alkylating agents reacts with DNA, RNA, and protein. They act by alkylating N7 position of guanine in DNA. Okay, the guanine is present in the DNA and the N7 position. Okay, this alkylating agents acts at the N7 position because means the alkylating group transfers to the N7 position, means that alkylating group attaches to the N7 position of the guanine. I will show the structure of this guanine and how these alkylating agents reacts with that N7 position of the guanine. Okay, so they act by alkylating N7 position of the guanine in DNA, which results in the formation of a purinic site. A purinic site means the DNA have the purine and the pyrimidine. So a purinic site means neither a purine nor a pyrimidine. Okay, neither a purine nor a pyrimidine structure. These both structure are necessary in the essential in the DNA replication. So this alkylating agent act or by alkylating the N7 position of the guanine in DNA that results in the formation of a purinic site. The alkylating agents appears to be most effective in G1 or S phase. So these alkylating agents, when these agents act most effectively in G1 or S phase. And G1 and S phase, what is that phase? G1 and S phase is in the G1, the cells prepare for the DNA synthesis. And in the S phase, that is the synthesis of the DNA or the replication of the DNA happens in the S phase. So this alkylating agent is most effective in the G1 or S phase because this stops the replication of the DNA as well as the synthesis of the DNA. Okay, it stops the synthesis of the DNA as well as the replication of the DNA. This alkylating, how they stops? They transfer their alkyl group to the N7 position of the guanine structure that is present in the DNA. So that DNA structure is impaired. Okay, if the DNA structure is impaired, so the replication of the DNA doesn't happen. Okay, so altering the guanine in DNA, altering the guanine in DNA may be lead to miscoding. Okay, if the guanine structure alters, okay, if the guanine structure alter, or if the guanine structure changes in DNA, that may lead to the miscoding. Okay, so miscoding means the guanine base usually exists as ketoisomer, means C double bond O, ketoisomer. The guanine base usually exists as ketoisomer and base pair with cytosine. Okay, this guanine base pair with cytosine. Once alkylated guanine prefers, okay, once this guanine alkylated, what happens? That alkylated guanine prefers enol tautomers. Okay, this alkylated guanine prefers enol tautomer. Normally, this guanine base pair with cytosine. Once this guanine alkylated, at that time, this prefers enol tautomers and is more likely to base pair with thiamine. Okay, so this alkylated guanine base pair with thiamine. So this is the miscoding because the normal guanine always base pair with cytosine. Okay, once this guanine is alkylated, at that time this alkylated guanine base pair with thiamine. So that is the miscoding here. Such miscoding leads to an alternation in the amino acid sequence of the protein. So that miscoding leads to an alteration in the amino acid sequence of the protein, which tends to disruption of the protein structure and the function. So thereby the cells disrupt. Okay, the cell stops dividing. Okay, so this guanine base, okay, guanine base normally exists in the ketoisomer, that is C double bond O, and base pair with the cytosine. Okay, once this guanine alkylated by the alkylating agent, that is the anti-cancer drug. Okay, once they alkylated, the guanine alkylated, what happens? This guanine base pair with thiamine. So that is the miscoding here. Such miscoding leads to an alteration in the amino acid sequence of the protein, which tends to disruption of the protein structure and the function. At physiological pH, aliphatic nitrogen mustard converts into stable aziridinium ion. Okay, at the inside our body, and this aliphatic nitrogen mustard means our alkylating agent drug or anti-cancer drug, aliphatic nitrogen mustards. Okay, so this aliphatic nitrogen mustard converts into stable aziridinium ion. Okay, this is the stable aziridinium ion inside. So this nitrogen mustard inside our body converts into the stable aziridinium ion, and this aziridinium ion means three-member cyclic ring that have one nitrogen. Okay, three-member cyclic ring that have one nitrogen is known as aziridinium ion, which once produce react with nucleophilic centers in the biomolecule. So that aziridinium ion reacts with the nucleophilic centers in the biomolecule. Okay, so this is the structure of the guanine. Okay, this is the structure of the guanine. Guanine contains pyrimidine ring as well as the imidazole ring. Okay, combination of the pyrimidine ring and the imidazole ring. Okay, so that is the guanine. Okay, one NH2 is attached here, and this is the N7 position, means imidazole ring. In the imidazole ring, this is the N7 position, that alkylating group attaches with this N7 position. So this is the structure of the guanine. Okay, let's see how the nitrogen mustard react with this guanine and how the structure impaired. So the general structure of the nitrogen mustard is this. Okay, means dichloroethylamine. One substituent is there. Okay, so that is R. So this is the general structure of the nitrogen mustard. Every drug coming under in the category of nitrogen mustard, they have this nucleus here. Only the substituent R is changed in every drug. Okay, so this is necessary for showing the anti-cancer activity. This molecule, okay, means dichloroethylamine. Okay, so this dichloroethylamine inside our body converts into the aziridinium chloride. Okay, aziridinium ion means this is the stable aziridinium ion. Okay, so this dichloroethylamine converts into the aziridinium chloride. Okay, so this is electron deficient. Okay, here this is electron deficient. Okay, and this again converts into the 1-chloro-diethyl amino group. Okay, 1-chloro-diethyl amino group. So this is again electron deficient. So this react or this attaches with the N7 position of the guanine in the DNA. So this attached with this CH2 will attach on the N7 position. Look at this. So CH2. Okay, this is the structure of the guanine. The N7 position, the CH2 attached here, and all the structure of this nitrogen mustard is same here. Okay, this CH2 amine group, CH2 Cl group, and the R substituent. So this is the alkylated guanine. Okay, so the structure of the guanine is changed here. Okay, alkylating guanine, it's converted into the alkylated guanine. After that, this chloride group, okay, this chloride group removes, and another guanine structure attached with the CH2 group. Look at this. This is the another structure of the guanine, and that N7 position, this CH2 attached, and what the Cl is removed from here. Okay, so This makes cross-linked guanine. Okay, when this cross-linked guanine synthesize, at that time the structure of the amino acid impairs. Okay, amino acid impairs and the protein function and all the things impaired. So this is the thing, means how this nitrogen mustard act with this DNA. Okay, means the guanine structure that is present in the DNA and how their structure is impaired. So this is the thing. Okay, let's see example. The nitrogen mustard, the example of the nitrogen mustard are mecloridamine. Okay, mecloridamine. Okay, so general structure of the nitrogen mustard is dichloroethylamine. Okay, one R is there. Okay, so that R is replaced with methyl group. So meclo, me, that stands for methyl, mecloradamine. Okay, mecloradamine structure is this. In the place of R, methyl group is substituted. Okay, so this is the structure of the mecloradamine. Let's see the synthesis. Synthesis of the mecloradamine. We have to take 2 molecule of ethylene oxide. Okay, this is the structure of ethylene oxide. Okay, and this 2 molecule of ethylene oxide reacts with methylamine group. Okay, methylamine is reacted with this 2 molecule of ethylamine. What happens? This ring will opens. Okay, look at this CH3N. Okay, CH3N and 1 hydrogen atom in the place of this 2 hydrogen atom. What happens? It means ethanol. Okay, ethanol, 2 ethanol attaches with this nitrogen atom. Okay, this ring will open. Okay, so that is why we have taken this 2 molecule of ethylene oxide. Okay, so this ethylene oxide reacts with methylamine and this CH3N I have written here, and this ethanol, 2 molecule of ethanol attached with this nitrogen atom. Okay, and after that, so this is almost similar to the mecloradamine, but in the mecloradamine 2 chloride group is there, but in this structure OH group, alcoholic group is there. So we have to, what we have to do, this product, okay, this product reacted with SOCl2. Okay, SO, sulfoxychloride, SOCl2. At that time, this 1 water molecule, okay, 1 water molecule means 2 water molecule removes from here, and CH2N, CH2, CH2, Cl, Cl. So this is the structure of the mecloradamine, and this is very easy synthesis. Okay, so this is the synthesis of the mecloradamine. Okay, mecloradamine. Let's see the mechanism of action. Mechanism of action of this mecloradamine is same as the alkylating agent. What these alkylating agents do? Alkylating agents react with, okay, react with N7 position of the guanine that is present in the DNA, and that this nitrogen mustard, this mecloradamine alkylated that guanine ring. Okay, alkylates the guanine ring, and that guanine ring again reacts with another guanine ring and they cross-link. Okay, in that way they impair the structure of the protein and the amino acid. Okay, so this alkylating agent introduce the covalent modification into DNA. Alkylating agents introduce covalent modification into DNA that causes the mutation and interferes in the re-replication. It acts by the transfer of alkyl group. This mecloradamine transfers the alkyl group into the N7 position of the guanine. Under the physiological condition, this mecloradamine changes to the aziridinium ion. Aziridinium ion means 3 cyclic member that contain 1 nitrogen atom. Okay, this under the physiological condition, these alkylating agents are positively charged electrophile, means they are electron deficient. Okay, they are electron deficient and they reacts with negative or high electron density region. Okay, high electron density region is guanine, the N7 position of the guanine. So this alkylating, this mecloradamine act or attached with the N7 position of the guanine. And alkylating agents are known to react with DNA, RNA, and the protein. They act by alkylating N7 position the guanine in the DNA, which results in the formation of a purinic site, neither a purine ring nor a pyridine ring. The alkylating agent appears to be most effective in G1 or S phase. Okay, so this mecloridamine appears to be most effective in the G1 or S phase. Altering the guanine in the DNA may be lead to miscoding. And what was the miscoding? That guanine exists in the ketoisomer, that's C double bond O, and that base pair with the cytosine. Once this alkylating agent alkylates the guanine ring, okay, guanine structure, that alkylated guanine structure prefers is that more likely to base with the thiamine, normally with the cytosine, but once they are alkylated, they always pair with the thiamine. So that is the miscoding. So that miscoding leads to alteration in the amino acid sequence of the protein, and that disrupt the protein structure and the function. Okay. Let's see the uses of the mecloridamine. So the mecloridamine is used in the treatment of Hodgkin's disease. Okay, Hodgkin's disease, and also in the treatment of the metastatic carcinoma. Carcinoma means skin or tissue cancer. Okay, so that is why I have told you have to learn the difference between the carcinoma and the sarcoma. So it is used in the treatment of Hodgkin's disease. Okay, and in the treatment of metastatic carcinoma. Our next drug is cyclophosphamide. Okay, cyclophosphamide. So structure is same. Okay, structure is same. One amino group is there, CH2, CH2, Cl, CH2, CH2, Cl. Okay, this NCH2 means dichloroethylamine is same here, but in the place of R, this cyclic ring. Okay, this cyclic ring is attached with this nitrogen atom, and this cyclic ring contains, okay, one nitrogen group, sorry, one amine group, one phosphorus group, and one oxygen group. Okay, so this is the structure of the main molecule. Okay, main molecule is same, means NCH2CH2Cl, NCH2CH2Cl. Dichloroethylamine group is same for the nitrogen mustard. Okay, the dichloroethylamine is must in every structure for showing the anti-cancer activity. So in the place of R, one cyclic ring is come, and that cyclic ring contain amine group, phosphorus, and the oxygen. So this is the structure of the cyclophosphamide. Let's see the SAR of the cyclophosphamide. Okay, so the replacement of the sulfur atom by nitrogen will lower the toxicity. So here, okay, so here this sulfur atom is replaced with amino group, so that reduces the toxicity. 2-chloroethyl group is essential for the activity, as the aziridine cation is formed by this only. So this 2-chloroethyl group, okay, I have already told, for showing the anti-neoplastic agent activity by this with the help of this nitrogen mustard, this 2-chloroethyl amine group is necessary for showing the anti-cancer activity. For what purpose this is necessary? For forming the aziridine ring. Okay, aziridine, stable aziridine ring. For formation of this stable aziridine ring, this structure is necessary. Okay, binding with amino group will increases the oral route availability of the drug. Okay, binding with amino group. So here one amine group is attached, or amine group is present in the cyclic ring. So this binding with amino group, that increases the oral route availability of the drug. Introduction of the substituted phenyl group will also increases the oral route availability of the drug. So here, if we substitute any phenyl group, so that also increases the activity. Aromatic ring introduction will increases the stability of the drug. Okay, so if we are introducing any aromatic ring, so that improves the stability of the drug. Aromatic ring will further increase the distribution of the drug throughout the body. Okay, so if we introduce any aromatic ring, so that increases the stability of the drug as well as the distribution throughout the body is also increased if we are introducing any aromatic ring. Okay, benzimidazole ring can provide the local and the faster action of the drug. Okay, if we are introducing any benzimidazole, so that provide the local and the faster action of the drug, benzimidazole will further decrease the half-life of the compound. If we are introducing any benzimidazole ring, that decreases the half-life of the compound. So this is the SAR of the chlorambucil. So you have to remember that means this cyclophosphamide, this drug is cyclophosphamide. So for showing the anti-neoplastic activity by this cyclophosphamide drug, so this must have this structure, means 2-chloroethylamine is necessary for showing the anti-cancer activity. Dichloroethylamine is necessary for showing the anti-cancer activity is the main SAR of this cyclophosphamide. Next, you have to remember that this chlorine group, okay, this chloride atom also provide the maximum activity. Okay, this chloride atom that also provides the maximum activity. Okay, so if we are introducing any amine group, that also increases the activity. Okay, so this is all only thing you have to remember in the SAR of the cyclophosphamide. Let's see the therapeutic uses of the cyclophosphamide. So in the treatment of autoimmune diseases, okay, the cyclophosphamide is used in the treatment of autoimmune diseases, in the treatment of lymphomas, brain cancers, neuroblastoma, leukemia, solid tumors. Okay, so in these all the disease we can use this cyclophosphamide. Treatment of AL amyloidosis when given in the combination with thalidomide or lenalidomide and dexamethasone. Okay, so this means this cyclophosphamide. Okay, cyclophosphamide can give both orally and the parenterally route. Okay, this cyclophosphamide can give orally or parenterally route, and it is also used against multiple myeloma, chronic lymphocytic leukemia, and acute leukemia of the children. Okay, that leukemia in the children that also treated by this cyclophosphamide. Next drug is melphalan. Okay, melphalan. Okay, in this melphalan, this NCH2CH2Cl is there, and CH2CH2Cl. So this is necessary in nitrogen mustard. Okay, this aliphatic ring is necessary in the nitrogen mustard structure for showing the anti-cancer activity. And in the place of R, this substitute is known as phenylalanine. One phenyl ring is there, and this is known as alanine. Okay, CH2, CH, COOH, carboxylic acid. Okay, NH2. So phenylalanine. Okay, this is the structure of phenylalanine. In the place of R, that R is substituted with phenylalanine, carboxylic acid, amine, CH2. Okay, so this is the phenylalanine, and the remaining structure is general structure of the nitrogen mustard. Okay, let's see the mechanism of action. It alters the guanine nucleosides in the DNA through alkylation. So alkylation is main mechanism of action. Okay, alkylation of the guanine is the main by nitrogen mustard drugs. This causes linkage between strands of the DNA. So that is again same, that form cross-linked guanine. DNA RNA synthesis are inhibited. If the structure of the DNA impaired, the synthesis of the DNA and RNA also inhibited. Cytotoxicity occurs in both dividing and non-dividing tumors. Okay, cyclotoxicity occurs in both dividing and non-dividing tumors. So, main mechanism of action we have seen in the first man means that the alkylating agents act at the N7 position of the guanine. Okay, and that guanine is alkylated. Okay, and that alkylated guanine cross-linked with another guanine. So the structure of the DNA impairs. Okay, and miscoding happens. Okay, miscoding. Alkylated guanine always base pair with thymine, but normal guanine always base pair with cytosine. So that is the miscoding. If the miscoding happens there, so at that time, okay, when the miscoding happens, at that time, what happens? All the amino acid sequence disrupts. Okay, and that also disturb the protein function and the synthesis also. So that is the main mechanism of action of each alkylating agent. Okay. So if you learn that main mechanism of action, so you can write it in any of these nitrogen mustard or alkylating agents. Let's see the structural activity. Okay, so the structural activity is also same. Means dichloroethylamine is necessary. Okay, dichloroethylamine is necessary for showing the anti-cancer activity. Okay. Let's see the therapeutic uses. Okay, therapeutic uses. It is used in the treatment of breast cancer, neuroblastoma, ovarian cancer, okay, multiple myeloma. Also in the treatment of sarcoma. Okay, so these are the uses of the melphalan. Okay, so let's see the question answer. Chlorambucil produces its action through alkylating the DNA, introducing the cross linkage between the DNA, introducing the mispairing of the nucleotide, all of the above. So the chlorambucil is an example of the nitrogen mustard. Nitrogen mustard is the classification of the alkylating agent. So the alkylating agent always alkylates the DNA, introduce the cross linkage between the DNA, and also induce the mispairing of the nucleotide. So the answer is all of the above. Then chlorambucil is an. So example of means in which category this chlorambucil comes. So alkylating agent, vinca, alkaloids, antibiotics, and progestin. So the correct answer is alkylating agents. Okay, the chlorambucil is an alkylating agent. Classification of the cyclophosphamide is. The classification of cyclophosphamide is antibacterial drug, calcium channel blockers, COX2 inhibitors, alkylating agents. So the correct answer is alkylating agent. Okay, alkylating agents. Example is cyclophosphamide. The cyclophosphamide is coming under the category of nitrogen mustard. Which type of the ring is present in the cyclophosphamide? So oxazophosphorin. Oxazophosphorin means one phosphorus, one amine group, and one oxygen group is present in the cyclophosphamide. Okay, that is 6-member ring that have amine group, phosphorus group, and the oxygen group. So that ring is known as oxazophosphorin ring. Okay, oxazophosphorin ring. Aromatic ring substitution on cyclophosphamide will increase the stability of the drug. We have seen in the SAR of the cyclophosphamide. If we introduce the aromatic ring, okay, or means if we substitute that aromatic ring, so that will increase the stability of the drug. Okay, so this is all about this alkylating means melphalan drug. Okay, and another drugs are, we have to learn the chlorambucil is coming under the category of nitrogen mustard. Then next is alkyl sulfonate. In that alkyl sulfonate, we have to learn the busulfan. And next drug is ethylenimine. And in ethylenimine, one drug is there, that is thiotepa. So we will see in our next class. Okay, so I will just explain the mechanism of action. Means each and every alkylating agent drug, they transfer their alkyl group to the N7 position of the guanine. Okay, after transferring after that, that guanine is alkylated. Okay, that alkylated guanine again attached with another normal guanine. Okay, in that way they impair the structure of the DNA. Okay, when the structure of the DNA impaired, what happens? The DNA replication stops or the DNA synthesis stops. Okay, so that is we need in the treatment of the cancer. Okay, we have to stop the replication or the synthesis of the DNA. So that is only happens with the help of that happens with the help of this alkylating agent by alkylating the guanine present in the DNA. Okay, so that is the mechanism of action. So every drug have the same mechanism of action. The SAR of the alkylating agent means they need dichloroethylamine. Dichloroethylamine is necessary for showing the anti-cancer activity or anti-neoplastic activity, okay, in the alkylating agent. And the chloride group is also necessary for the activity, means that chloride group increases the activity of the particular drug. So this is all about. I hope everybody understood it very well. So we will see alkyl phosphate, all the things in our next class. Thank you.